November 8th. The time is 11:05. We have a special meeting regarding the election. Please raise your hand if you wanted to talk, that we can see who wanted, who's first, who's not. So, Elise, do you have something to say about your observation of the election so far?
No, I don't have anything to say at this point.
Okay, Diane?
Yes, I'm hearing the same thing from different locations about voters who are, they're frustrated that they can't vote because they didn't realize, just like in the early voting, that they had inadvertently signed up to get the absentee ballot all the time. And that had to be explained to them that they were being put on provisional because the indication on the poll book is that they were signed up to get absentee ballots.
Which polling place was it?
One in particular happened a couple times, was the Nancy Dasick.
You mean they didn't know they were
No. I think it was the Connie Morella Library. Sorry, I just misspoke.
But they didn't realize they had asked to be on the permanent vote by mail list?
Correct. And I heard that from almost every, provisional judge that I talked to during the early voting, that this was one of the biggest reasons for there were two camps that the provisionals fell into. This was one of them. People on the list to get these absentee ballots, and they didn't realize that's what they.
Could I ask a question about that?
Me or just in general?
Well, I'm just wondering, it seems like this has become more frequent than we would like to admit. And I'm wondering if there was something about that process that confused people, or that, why so many got on the permanent list but didn't want that,
Yeah, well, I think it's just you checked, you want an absentee ballot, and you don't realize that it says forever after.
So you have to affirmatively opt out of forever after when you do
No,
that?
but if you inadvertently sign up, then you have to affirmatively change it. It's like, have you ever given a contribution and then they'll cleverly have a little blue check somewhere with it where it says, make this a monthly contribution? If you don't pay close attention and uncheck that, I mean, that's the reverse, but it's easy when you go through these templates to make a mistake.
But so is there an option to request a mail-in ballot for just this election?
Yes.
And not any other?
Yes.
I think there are two boxes
Yeah.
there, right, Allison? There are two boxes, one for this election and the second one, keep it forever.
I'm guessing
that happened. So we can do it. You don't have a control over it. It happened. Like the person was in the wrong polling place, didn't see her sample ballot, that she has to go different place. So therefore she accepted to do vote by provisional. She understood the procedure. So that happened.
well, I think I think it's more than that, though.
That's
It's
different
not-
than what we're talking about.
Right. I guess what I'd want to do is, I'm not sure we can do it right now. I don't know if the state's website has an option right now for requesting a mail-in ballot. They probably don't. But it would be good to see whether there's anything that can be done to make it clearer for people when they're requesting it once and when they're requesting it permanently. I don't think it's like what you're describing, Diane, where it's some little check that's hidden, although I'm familiar with things like that.
Yeah. I think
but-
this one was probably not hidden, but it was enough print that they just said, yeah, I want an absentee ballot, and then didn't see. And then I do have one other thing when we're done with this issue to mention that happened today. Should I go ahead? Because I know Nahid had brought up a different issue. It took quite a while, which is why I almost missed the 11 o'clock mark, right up here at the, down here by the Silver Spring Middle School.
Silver Creek.
I bet Silver Creek, sorry. I bet it took in excess of 20 minutes for a voter to have resolved her check-in, because our poll book had her listed under 2 different names. They had 2 voters listed and it was one person. And with passport, driver's license, all sorts of stuff, we finally pieced together that she got the universal driver's license 2 years ago. And at that time, motor vehicle re-registered her for voting. So she, in essence, is on our voter rolls as 2 people who could have walked in there today and voted on a machine. And there's something else too. I can't remember what the other part was. But and she's been getting duplicate mailings from the Board of Elections for the last 2 years. And she just didn't really think much about it. I mean, a lot of people aren't real, there's a lot of minutia about our voting process for just as far as the technicalities, and she hadn't reported it to anybody, but she's been getting duplicates. So in essence, she is there. Well, I think you get the point. I can't imagine this is the only instance where this has happened. So I would like to see a cleanup at some point after this election.
Yeah,
That's
Diane,
one good story.
during the canvass, one of the canvassers told me that she got 2 mail-in ballots delivered to her house. She said, of course, I only returned 1, but I couldn't figure out why she got 2. So I did hear about that in another instance.
If she returned the 1, will that then get removed from the voting list? In other words, if you get 2 sample ballots and you return 1 and say you do a duplicate or something, does that trigger it, or do they have to do more?
Well, I'll answer, if I may, with two answers. And the first is at a retail level for the individual voters involved, what we're going to need is some sort of documentation of their situation, or at least if you give me their information offline, then we can go check the records and see if it's clear to us that this is an administrative error that we can correct, or see if the information we have in front of us is not sufficient for us to say that these are clearly 2 separate voters, and we'll take the appropriate action based on the information that I'm given at an individual level for those voters. From a general system-wide response to how we handle these, there are a variety of ways that the state goes in to make sure that we are doing uniform and non-discriminatory methods of doing our voter list maintenance. I don't know, Boris is actually here in the room. Boris, do you have anything else that you'd like to add to this discussion?
Okay,
Can you hear Boris? Oh, well, we'll move the screen.
good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Very
Morning.
briefly, as Alison said, any information that you have on a voter who has potentially duplicate voter registration, we would appreciate, because that's a source for us to follow up and resolve the issue. The second thing is we receive monthly cleanup from the state of all the voters who through administrative error, human error, have been created with a duplicate voter registration. So that's ongoing process. And yes, someone mentioned we can always try to do some extra work on our end after vote elections and after voter registration reopens.
I think you're most commonly, I think, going to run into these with people who have multiple names in multiple government systems. The automatic registration where you've got.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Allison.
Allison, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me because the direction of the mic was in another direction. Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yeah, thanks. I caught the first part.
Okay, I was just answering that. Here, I'll go to the screen where I am next to Nahid. I was
Ami,
just
you should
answering-
mute your phone if you're not talking. I think there's some crosstalk in the background with you there.
I was just answering that in certainly in my experience when I run into these, and I imagine that Boris will corroborate this, that I see this probably most commonly with women who have multiple names that they use, whether it's a maiden name or a hyphenated name or something, and where we have multiple different identities effectively in different government databases, and we need to reconcile that information, whether it's what they used when they registered to vote online, whether it's the information that's on their driver's license. So if you get us the information, then we can make sure that we merge that information in our records and clean it up.
who should we send it to? You or Boris or both?
Boris
or-
would be better. Send it to Boris.
Please don't send everything to me.
Yeah, I mean, today, the site, I happen to know the site manager who is a neighbor. And this is why it took so long. When I left to get back here, she was on the phone to the Board of Elections, excuse me, straightening this out. My concern is, I accept everything you have said, Allison, about trying to fix this, but as this illustrates, short of this woman today self-reporting on this or discovering it, and it took a long time to figure out what was going on. What is the mechanism when you've got 600 government agencies signing people up to register to vote? I haven't heard anything that that allays my concerns that with what's given these monthly reports, that's going to do anything to help clean it up. So I don't want to spend all of this morning talking about that, but I think this is just a great example of why I will be talking about this at future meetings. Thanks. And I know everyone's doing a hard job. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody at all.
You don't think our election workers would recognize if the same name, same date of birth voted twice in the same day? I mean, I'm guessing that someone would catch that.
If there's two entries in the poll book and one of them is not marked as having voted yet, they might not, you know?
And if she goes to two different people and they're busy and a different person comes in using the name, I'm not saying the same person would try to vote twice.
No,
I'm saying
I
somebody
understand.
else
You're saying-
would know
right.
there's. So I
Right.
mean,
I
all sorts of
understand.
permutations. Yeah, I think it easily could happen.
Right.
I think one comment, and I do recognize and appreciate that this is an ongoing conversation for us to have
Right.
and not to resolve in this meeting here and now. But I think one thing that I do want to make sure that anybody who is, that we all have front of mind and anybody who's listening to the meeting is aware of as well, is that we maintain all of this documentation. And so even as and when we identify that an individual is listed twice in the rolls, then at such a time as we are able to reconcile that and pull that all together, we have the complete voter history. We have the complete evidence of when an individual voted. And if we subsequently identify that there's a duplicate voter history, that is something that we would forward to the, we would forward that through Kevin onto the appropriate authorities.
Yeah, to the attorneys. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just a lot of moving parts. I mean, like all complicated systems. I appreciate all the hard work, everyone, diligent. We know it's not intentional.
Yeah, the polling places were busy beginning of the morning. After that, it got stabilized. So the places I visited. Alan?
Ballot marking devices, ballot marking devices, ballot marking devices. We need more ballot marking devices. They were so popular, of course, in early voting. They're still very popular. That's what there are lines at 4 different precincts for ballot marking devices. I've already reported to Kevin about Rockview Elementary, 1340 needed more privacy panels. He knows about that, and Chris knows about that. 1334, they were down an e-poll book, and one BMD was replaced there. Einstein was down a BMD. They've requested one. They're also shorthanded. Those are my observations.
They've already been reported.
Well, yeah.
Alan, can I just clarify, is each of these items that you're raising have previously been reported to staff for follow-up, right?
Yeah,
Or do we need to
Right,
log that
right.
now?
Yes, they have been, yes. I communicated with Kevin all those things.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Alex?
I just echoing what Alan said, I've gotten some reports by people at North Bethesda, which is 719, that there were lines for the ballot marking devices. So these folks who are friends of mine chose to vote, with pen and ink. And, you know, I saw something on television this morning that was intriguing to me, that in one of the counties in suburban Atlanta, I don't know whether it's Fulton or Gwinnett, but I could see from the camera view of the polling place, they had a ballot marking device, you know, enclosed with a partition at the stand-up table at like, they had like 12 or 15 of them. That's where people go, and they all use that to make the selection on the touchscreen, print out the ballot, and then take it to the scanner. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting, that's how they do it in Georgia. You know, maybe that's a model for the future.
It was exclusive? That was the only way to do the ballot? on the
Well,
BLT?
I can't say that they wouldn't let people fill it out by hand. They might, and that probably makes sense. But what I could see on the screen was that they had a lot of these, and each of the what do you call them, the privacy screens on the table, that's what they had. It wasn't just a pen with the flat surface. They had the ballot marking device right in there.
Hmm.
And that's how you know, I guess how most people have to go vote.
Well, we've got privacy screens around ours.
No, we do, but you have to sit down to use it. The stand-up tables is where
Oh, I see. I
everybody
didn't
goes to do
realize.
pen and
Okay.
ink. But I think in Georgia, what they're doing is that, like, you know, 80% of the stations are ballot marking devices. And that's, you know, that's what they seem to be using. So I thought that was really interesting.
David,
Thank you, Madam President. A couple of observations. I visited Tilden Middle School this morning, where 2 out of the 3 ballot marking devices were having issues. One of them, the screen, instead of being white, was pink. And the other one, it was kind of like a TV that was had a snowy picture. And I don't know, I know someone was working on it when I left. And apparently hitting the machine was one of the solutions that had been proposed earlier. But the chief judge wisely did not want to do that while voters were present. I totally agree with the idea of having more of them, but I do think we have to make sure that they are operating properly. And I don't know what the particular issue was with those, but that was definitely part of it. And then I'm sitting at the Silver Spring Civic Building, and they are having very long lines here. And it is a similar issue to what we've had in past elections, certainly in 2018, that a number of people are here who did not realize that it's not like early voting. And there are 2 precincts that do vote here today, and a number of other Silver Spring precincts that don't vote here today. And so there are lines at the provisional table. There are lines basically all over. So prior to our meeting, I made an announcement to everyone about how they could save themselves a bunch of time if they were to go to the state board website, elections.maryland.gov, and there's a find your polling place link. And if they found their polling place and it was not here, they would save themselves between 45 to 60 minutes because of the delays at the provisional table. But we may want to think about for the future. I realize that we have limited options for polling places when other polling places are not available, which I believe is the situation we had for this building today. But we may want to give people extra equipment, extra line workers, et cetera, because, and I plan after we're done with this meeting to kind of work the line here, because if people don't hear the general announcement, it could be that they could save themselves and us a lot of time if they were to vote in their local polling place instead of voting provisionally. But I don't know if you can see it behind me, but there's a very substantial line into the hallway and kind of all the way across the front door. The other thing is that they could definitely benefit here from more ballot marking devices, because they're really kind of set up to be a double precinct, and at the moment they're really more than a double precinct. You know, they're because of everybody kind of being used to voting here.
David, do you think that some people might be confused having gone there in 2020 when it was a vote center in the general election and thinking, well,
Yes,
that we can do it again because I did it 2 years ago?
totally possible. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that they got, well, they probably got you know, their sample ballot that told them where they're supposed to vote. And I don't know whether they got additional mailings that told them where they're supposed to vote. But regardless, I think people are used to, you know, we're all creatures of habit. And I think that that is definitely a possibility. The other thing that happens is that if they only find this out when they get to the check-in table after they've waited in line for however long already, they're much less likely to say, oh, I'm going to leave and skip the provisional ballot table. They're much more likely to say, I'm already here. And if I leave, I don't know what line I'm going to get there, you know, wherever there is. And then, of course, it's also complicated because whatever redistricting changes and precinct changes were made in Silver Spring, and I don't remember, quite frankly, what changes were made this year for these precincts that are in downtown Silver Spring. But you know, they may be at a new polling place and what they're used to anyway. So, but I do think you're right, Alex, that 2020 could easily be a factor in that.
Alan.
Oh, can I have some
Allison, do
follow-up
we,
questions on that, but it can
let-
wait.
let Alan talk.
do
Alan,
do
go
we
ahead.
know how much the BMDs cost?
What's the question? I
It's
can
a
hear you.
state, it's split with the state.
Go
I don't
ahead.
know.
It would depend on how we procured it, and I'd have to get that information.
Yeah,
Allison, did you have,
$1,000 a pop.
1340, they also had a white screen, a fuzzy screen like the televisions used to be like. They put that out.
Allison, did you have comments on what I said?
I
Go
do have
ahead.
some questions about Silver Spring, but I wanted to make sure that we got through. Go ahead. First off, and David, thank you for being there, and I will follow up with our staff on site as well. Of course, we have a data collection tool where we're collecting the line length every hour, but do you have an estimate of what the line is, what the length, the amount of time spent simply to get to the check-in is at the line at Silver Spring right now?
No, I can show you what the line looks like, but I can't tell you, I mean, but I don't know.
Okay.
The only estimate I got from the chief judge was 45 to 60 minutes once you get to the provisional line for that.
And that, so that was my second.
But let me, I'm going to turn my camera off for a minute and walk over there, then I can show you what the line looks like.
Okay, I also wanted to ask a
Oh.
couple other questions. Okay,
I don't have to go over there because the line has come to me.
I saw.
So I am sitting next to the restrooms at the Silver Spring Civic
You're
Building
back there,
and
yeah.
all the way back. And this is what the line is now looking like, going all the way to the front. This is, I'm at the side entrance to Silver Spring Civic Building. So you can
Okay.
see that's going to the front and then around the front as well.
Do they need
So
more hands there?
yes, I'm guessing that the answer to that is yes. But like I said, when we're done, I will, you know, work the line and try and encourage people to look at, find my poll and make sure that they are in the right place because it'll save themselves and us a lot of trouble.
okay, and that's a location where I would expect an evening surge, so we'll make sure that we get some
Oh,
additional
boy.
manpower out there, or what is your
I think,
estimation of the
I think,
manpower?
I think the surge is already happening. I mean, if this, you know, the line has gotten longer because when I started sitting here at 11 o'clock, the line was nowhere near me.
Gotcha,
Let's do
So,
lunchtime,
so
yeah.
gotcha.
Okay,
So,
I'm gonna get some lunch. Like finish lunch, David, I'll join you. Okay,
and I don't, you know,
So-
and Allison, I'm guessing that extra BMDs and extra, you know, I mean, Alan and I can work the line and others who want to join us, but I mean, mostly it's just letting people know that they should, you know, they should look up their polling place and, you know, and and save themselves some time when they get in.
Is
So
there,
getting some information out, maybe sort of more generally, seeing if we can get some of the media to carry the story that voters are not, that we don't have vote centers today. If we can try to get that message out a little bit more.
The average voter does not know what a vote center is.
Right.
So I would just, simple message, if you don't vote at your own polling place, it will take a lot longer,
Understood.
you know.
And any other specific recommendations, I'll follow up with you offline. I just want to make sure that we get the right supports out there to Silver Spring and to
Mhm.
any other locations that we identify over the course of the
Mhm.
day that we need those supports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty then. So are we cover everything? Should we go back, visit the polling places and help them? Or do you still have?
Madam President, did you have any observations you wanted to report?
No, I mean, it's the same thing. The line was long, but then quiet down. Now is a lunchtime. I came from Potomac Community Center. Was a line, but manageable. It wasn't that bad. And the area I visit, morning was busy, and after that, like 9 o'clock, it got less than 5-6 people. So we would expect our lunchtime now after 4 o'clock in the morning in Bethesda. Chevy Chase was people lining 6:30 in the morning. So to
We
get in.
We do have, in addition to the collection of the line information every hour, of course, when we have the election judges post the 11 a.m. counts, we have sent out a text alert asking for that information. So we'll take a look at the data that we get back in response to that text alert and see how that helps us compile information about which sites may be seeing a surge and need some additional support.
Actually, let me just make one more observation. I sent this to Kevin, and I think it's being followed up on already. But there was a report that one of the 2 BMDs at Mill Creek Town Elementary School, which is precinct 9-4, was down. And I'm hoping that either it was fixed or replaced, because having only 1 BMD doesn't seem like enough.
So David, I'm not on screen, but it has been addressed. It's on, if it cannot be fixed, it's being replaced. It's on
Awesome.
the list of polling places to get another BMD.
That's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Kevin.
No problem.
Okay then. So if nothing else to do, yes.
Oh,
yes,
Alan has
Yeah,
it.
does Kevin or someone have more information about the pedestrian struck near Fields Elementary School?
The gate is looking.
I think I heard 2 people were hit.
So
Yeah,
there
that's it.
were two adults that were struck. We don't know if they were voters or not. The road was partially closed, but it was not, the police worked with the board and our Homeland Security and kept the road open. There is a brief article on CBS9.com on it, but I've been told that the road has been cleared. Their accident investigation has been completed.
They said the driver was drunk and ran over and killed 2 people. That's final.
Oh, geez.
Oh, my Lord. They were reporting on the radio that they were on their way to vote. And of course, that's just a report. We don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have confirmation of that. I do have confirmation that there were 2 individuals and that they were in critical condition.
Oh, my
And
Lord.
as Kevin just reported, part of School Road in front of Fields Road Elementary was closed, but in working with the police and Homeland Security, we kept the access into the lot next to Fields Road Elementary open, and voting was uninterrupted.
Oh, man.
Okay then. So we're okay. Yes, Diane.
Oh, good. I just are, if we're done with our reports, I haven't heard from Ami, so I don't want to
Oh,
jump in.
good point.
I have nothing new. I drove by several sites on my way to where I am at the moment, and there were lines, but they didn't look unmanageable at all.
Okay.
Then I have a question, just for clarification. Can you give me the public web address for this evening to access the voter counts when they're released?
Either 777vote.org and then follow links there to the State Board of Elections website for results,
Well,
or elections.maryland.gov.
okay, do you have the specific, because I remember during the primary, it wasn't that easy to find.
Those are the only links that I have.
But by tonight, Diane, it's possible that elections.maryland.gov will link you directly to results when they're available. That's usually what they've done in the past.
It will.
What?
It will.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to get that all teed up for some people were asking.
All right then. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Madam President, I move that we adjourn this special meeting.
I
Second,
second.
those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you then. Thank you so much. Bye.
See you
Stay
later, David.
safe out there, everybody.
See you later.